All right, everybody. Michigan won again. They rebounded from the Duke loss. Michigan was favored in this game versus Minnesota by 21.5 points, though. They did not cover, of course. It was 77-67. Michigan did rebound and win this game. But there are some questions that I have to ask for this great Michigan team, who is ranked number 3 now after being number 1 last week, losing to Duke. Would the patterns remain the same? Would Michigan keep jacking up threes instead of feeding the beasts that they have down low in Adai Mara, Mraz Johnson, and even Yaxel Landenborg could post up some people? Why are we jacking threes when I get it? Michigan wants to get out in front of everybody and run and dunk and jam, and yes, that's all great. And then if that's not there, kick it out to the open three and make it. Yes. But teams are realizing that that's what Michigan is doing. At what point are we going to feed Adai Mara? He's great defensively. He's a 7'3" guy with like a 7'6" wingspan. Just dump it into him, get 2 automatic points when you're up 5 or 7, right? Instead of jacking a 3, then you're still only up 5, and then the other team gets a chance to go down and foul Mara out. We cannot have that happen. Feed the beast. Anyway, this game started once again with an Adai Mara dunk, just like it did versus Duke. Cadeau made a long trademark 3, and what I mean by trademark is he makes not only NBA threes, at least one NBA 3 every game he makes. But it's not only an NBA, it's 37, 36 feet. He made one of those. Unlike versus Duke, where he was trying 6 or 7 of those and didn't make a damn one. Well, 1 late, but 2 late. Tyson answered with 3 for Minnesota. And then Cadeau took a lazy shot from 3, with time on the clock. This is a moment where you're up 2 points, and Mara already had a dunk. Feed him instead of taking the easy out, and then you miss. Reynolds had a layup for Minnesota. Cadeau answered with a layup. This is something that Cadeau could not do for Michigan against Duke. He could not drive it. They were too big. They were too physical. This was a totally different officiated game as well. Yaxel tried to be physical, and they called him. So this was make your shots or you lose. Versus Duke, it was run into them or you lose. It was totally different called games by the officials. Tyson, Reynolds hit a layup. Cadeau hit a layup, as I said. Tyson hit another 3, and it was 8-7 Minnesota at the under 16 TV timeout in the first half. Burnett hit a layup for Michigan. Durkin hit a 3. Reynolds then hit a layup for Minnesota. Back and forth we go. Kason, though, hit a 3 after I said to Cadeau, stop jacking threes. That's not what Michigan needs. Well, Kason hit one, and he would hit more in this game as well. He was good from there. But Gale then dunked one. Gale had a nice game after being terrible versus Duke. Durkin had another 3 for Minnesota. It was 16-14 Minnesota at the under 12 TV timeout in the first half. Yeah, what? That's crazy. Michigan was jacking too many threes instead of getting the ball to Mara and Johnson. This was a pattern that allows others to get close and even win versus Michigan. Even though Michigan has the upper hand in size. Use your size, Michigan. Out of the under 12 TV timeout in the first half, Gale had a layup and one, which was good. Made free throws. There was not a lot of fouls in this game, as I stated. Totally different than the Duke game. Asuma hit a layup. Gale hit a layup with assertiveness, and that might have been an and one in the Duke game, but not in this one. If you remember, Michigan should have challenged a possession versus Duke. And if they would have won a possession in the first half versus Duke, after Duke challenged and won for a possession. Michigan didn't do it. They did this time. Dusty May learned from that experience, which is great. I love someone who is willing to learn, and that is Dusty May. And we got the win on that challenge versus Minnesota tonight. We got the extra possession. But Yaxel was called for an offensive foul, and this is what I was talking about. This was an offensive foul that Duke was doing all game versus Michigan last game. Run into the guy and throw it up. Well, it's a different game. Different officials. Michigan couldn't do that, and the Yaxel was called for the offensive foul. Grove broke Michigan's press. Full court press we went, and he got to the rim, an alley-oop dunk. Thankfully, Burnett drilled a three. The ref then called a cheap one on Minnesota to send it to the under 8 TV timeout, which actually robbed Morris Johnson of a layup. If not for that cheap foul, we would have had a bucket, but Johnson. Yeah, there was no free throws either. So it was 22-20, Michigan at the under 8 TV timeout. Burnett then jacked another three and missed out of that timeout. Come on, Michigan, you can't set something up inside. You have the lead. You have a 2-point lead. Just get two more and add and chip and away. We used to be able to do that. Now it's just a 3-point team, it seems like to me. That's what concerns me the most. So that's what I was thinking. But then Michigan went on a tear from three for the rest of the game. McKinney drilled a three, and Minnesota called a timeout with 5:46 left. Apparently, the earlier the better to call a timeout. They had that one timeout to give before the half, that use it or lose it. They used it with 5:46. But it was still a 4-point game or something like that at that point. So Michigan was playing good defense without fouling, of course. That's what they were doing versus Duke. And everybody else, for that matter, that Michigan has played. Their defense is amazing. And McKinney missed a three. But then he made up for it by drilling a three the next possession down the court. Johnson blocked a shot down low. It was 28-20 Michigan at the under 4 in the first half. Cheddar got extensive time in this game without scoring a point. But damn it, he played well in this one. He kind of played a little bit poorly versus Duke. Turnovers, fouls, but he played well early in this one. He had an assist to Johnson for a layup, and then Asuma had a layup, and then Asuma had another layup, but then Burnett turned it over, and Reynolds had a layup. And now all of a sudden, Minnesota is within 4 points of Michigan. A 6-0 run after not scoring for 4 minutes. Michigan's defense held them to no score for 4+ minutes. Now, all of a sudden, 6-0 run. Michigan called a timeout, of course, with 32 seconds left in the half. They had to hold for the best and last shot, right? No, well, Cadeau took it to the hoop, and he laid it in. But Reynolds answered as the half ended. It was 32-28 Michigan at halftime. Only a 4-point game here at half. There were only 2 free throw attempts for Michigan and 1 for Minnesota. It was a totally different game than the Duke experience. Michigan needed to use their size. They need to. Going forward, not only in the rest of this half, which they didn't, they made threes, but going forward, man, instead of settling for threes, because at that point at halftime in this game, Michigan was 5 of 15. 33%, not shabby, but that's 10 shots that Mara could have had down low, or Johnson, or maybe Gale drives it. We need some drive action. We're getting too predictable. And that's something that I don't want to say about the number 3 team in the nation, but it is getting predictable. Duke gave Minnesota the blueprint. Mara started off the second half as well. Why not? He had a 12-foot jump shot that he made. Grove put in a 3-pointer. Asuma put in a 3-pointer. But Cadeau made 3 for Michigan. Tyson had a layup. Mara had a layup. Tyson then had a 4-point play on a 3-point shot and won. Lindenborg, though, made 3 for Michigan. So this was a 3-point contest to start the second half, and it was pretty even. Reynolds made 2 free throws. And then Cadeau finally fed Morris Johnson Jr. for 2. Finally got it down low for him. He got it in. Michigan had their ninth turnover of the game after that. But they got it back. But Gale then had an air ball from 3. Feed the post, Michigan. Especially when you get takeaways. Come on. It was 44-39 Michigan, under 16 minutes left in this game. We actually had 5 minutes and 45 seconds taken off the clock. It was nonstop action until the first TV timeout. And Yaxel, Landenberg, and Morris Johnson, and Adai Mara only had 9 points between them. The big 3. Out of the timeout, Kayson's 3 bounced in, thank God for Michigan. Tyson answered with 3 of his own. Kayson ooped it to Mara. Yes, find the big guy. Kayson then drove it for 2, and Minnesota called a timeout with 12:54 left, as Michigan now led by 9 points. Gale was down low, and Michigan was trying to feed him, while Adai Mara at least was on the outside. This is a terrible idea. Why would you have the little... I understand mismatches. You maybe had a littler guard down there. That doesn't work with what we're trying to do. Dusty May, hey, hats off to you for trying all different kinds of things. And that's what got Michigan to this point. But now is the time where we're not trying to feed Roddy Gale down low. He should be trying to feed Mara down low. So, Grove got a layup. Cadeau hit a 3 when there was no other option. Time was expiring. Man, that was great for Michigan. He gets one of those every game. He got 2 today. So Asuma made a 3 though right after that, and Gale was blocked by Minnesota. It was 51-45 Michigan with under 12 minutes left to go. Only a 6-point game. McKinney then airballed a 3 instead of feeding Mara down low. He was out there. Yes, he was open. It was quick action. Mara was there and available. Feed the big guy. Please. Watch this film, Michigan, and feed Mara going forward when these circumstances happen. I watched this game. It was terrible. So, I digress. McKinney, right after that, hit a 3. Kason hit a 3. So what do I know? Maybe they just need to hit 3. Maybe that's the new age in game. Take 3s. Grove's toe was on the line for Minnesota from 3. So he only got 2. But Kason then drilled another 3 from Michigan. 4-4 from 3 for Michigan in the last 4 shots. And it was 7:26 left in this game. Minnesota called a timeout as Michigan led now by 14 points, 63-49. Under 8 minutes to go. But where was Mara? Where was Morris Johnson? Reynolds baked in a 3 over Mara after the under 8 TV timeout. McKinney answered with 3 of his own, though. Mara then got the ball from 80 feet out on a perfect pass and was fouled on the lay-in. He made 2 free throws. He is being a better free throw shooter. That's what I wanted early in the season. I needed him to be a great free throw shooter because I assumed that he was going to be fed the ball a lot and he was going to be fouled a lot and he was going to have to make a lot of free throws. Well, assuming makes an ass out of you and me, right? We aren't doing that. We aren't doing that. Cadeau went coast to coast for a layup after a steal, which was great. Tyson made a 3 for Minnesota. Then Asuma stole a rebound from Yaxel Landenberg. How do you allow that to happen? Yaxel, come on. Tyson hit 2 free throws on the ensuing possession. An inbound to Burnett was a nice drawn-up play. I liked it. He hit the 3 in the corner off the inbound. Direct pass, 3, wide open, sweet. But Durkin had 3 after that for Minnesota. Reynolds' layup made it an 11-point game with 2:47 left. It was 73-62 Michigan. Gale was lucky to be fouled on the ensuing possession for Michigan. He made 2 of 2 free throws, though. Then Gale got his 7th rebound of this game. So He scored. He rebounded. He was a good player for Michigan tonight. Johnson had an offensive putback, the first of the night for Michigan, I think. Did we ever get second chance points except until that moment? Late. Durkin hit a three. Grove then had a layup on the press beater against Michigan. And then Michigan just dribbled out the ball for the win. The 77-67 win, where they clinched a share, at least, of the Big Ten championship game, regular season, that is. If they beat Illinois on the road on Friday, not only would that solidify their number one seed in the March Madness and the number one seed in the Big Ten tournament, but it would clinch an outright win for Michigan in the regular season of the Big Ten because of this. Michigan got lucky that 14 of 33 threes went in this game. It was only a 10-point game versus a terrible 13-14 Minnesota team. The size and offensive rebounds that Michigan has helped. The 19 assists are why Michigan won this game. But the quality of shots, man, they're all quality shots. All those threes were awesome. You could have them anytime, though. Feed the post. How physical will the refs let Illinois and Michigan play in this next game Friday? That is a question that I have in my mind. But Michigan has the answer for every game. We go big, small, fast, slow. Mara, though, is the one area where Michigan is lacking. He needs practice down low offensively to allow Michigan to play the way they want to play, physical, down the stretch. You know, there's going to be more freedom of movement in the NCAA tournament, but Duke proved that if you can just get down low, beat the other team up, force them to make fouls, that wins. That won for them. That's the only way Michigan has not won this season. They have overpowered everybody in every different way. Took Wisconsin 15 threes. Duke beat the hell out of us. Michigan has won in both of those ways, kind of, but man, physically, we got to get better. Feed Mara. He's our guy. He is the X factor going forward in the NCAA tournament. Because I believe in LJ Kaysan. I believe in Trey McKinney. Even Cadeau bounced back here tonight and had a nice game. And then, the depth. But I'm taking too much of your time. Michigan bounced back. But there are questions going forward. Illinois is next. Go Blue.